Welcome to the Never Too Early Fantasy Football Podcast, where it is never too early for fantasy football. My name is Jeff.
Alex.
As always, thank you for downloading, listening, liking, and commenting on our podcast videos. Please join our community by subscribing to us on the socials. Our handle on all platforms is N2E Fantasy. We are also available on all major podcasting apps by searching N2E Fantasy. Alex, what do we have on today's show?
On this episode of the Never Too Early Fantasy Football Podcast, we are releasing my top 8 rookie quarterbacks. And Jeff will have a lot of commentary because he's actually followed some of these guys and watched some of them too. So he'll have some input this time, which is great. Growth, making Jeff watch football, college football tape.
Right? Trying.
And then we're going to talk about Project Hail Mary and everything Oscars are related, right? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. You don't want to stay up with the pop culture, Jeff?
No, that was a curveball.
But what we are actually going to talk about first is latest league news. And there's actually some signings to discuss. Jeff, why don't you do your editorial correction first?
So I said Elijah Mitchell was a free agent last week, but apparently he had signed a future reserve deal with New England back in February, and he will be the third back behind Stevenson and Henderson as of right now. So obviously his roster spot isn't solidified, but he isn't a decent third option for them right now.
But there are also running backs in the draft that may be interesting, and we'll get to that in a couple weeks, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. But speaking of the Patriots, they released quarterback Josh Dobbs. And then we had a couple of backup quarterbacks re-sign, and one actually signed with the new team. The Vikings did re-sign backup quarterback Carson Wentz to a one-year deal. Bengals re-signed backup quarterback Joe Flacco to a one-year deal. And the Saints move and sign quarterback Zach Wilson to a one-year deal. Do you believe that Spencer Rattler could be on the move now?
They're not going to release him, but if somebody's interested in trading for him, I think they would consider it because, one, they want to move forward with Shock and they don't want him looking over his shoulder. I do think that they could roll with 3 quarterbacks, at least deep into camp. It might be preseason. And Zach Wilson still has some potential to him that he's never tapped, but he's not overly threatening to Shock either.
We will see. I think he's like the perfect backup quarterback for him because I think their styles are similar, but I do think Tyler Shock is the better of the two quarterbacks, of course. And I do want to see what he does with Chris Olave in year 2. That's a big thing for me, is to see what growth we get from that connection. All right.
And or potentially a wide receiver in the draft.
Absolutely. It does look like Carson Wentz will probably be the backup quarterback to Kyler Murray, and J.J. McCarthy is going to be third string. Is that what we're thinking there?
I think Kyler Murray is going to start off the quarterback, and I think if he struggles, then when Carson Wentz is fully healthy, I think they'll have no qualms about turning back to him because they were very successful with him, even with a destroyed shoulder last year. And JJ, I don't even know if it's in the cards that they're going to keep him at all. They might cut him before the season starts or trade him, but I don't think anyone's interested in trading for him.
It's very possible, and I'm sorry to say, but Joe Flacco signing with the Bengals, going back to Cincinnati, means that he is not going to complete the cycle in the NFC or AFC North.
Well, in 2026, there's always next year.
Always, when Aaron Rodgers retires. They will be looking for a quarterback if he ever retires. He may never retire.
Well, Flacco's already been traded within the division once, so who's to say it won't be a second time?
Let's keep it going. But a couple running back signings here, some second and third string running backs, maybe even further back with these first two. A Panthers sign running back A.J. Dillon to a one-year deal. Eagles sign running back Damian Pierce to a 1-year deal. Steelers signed Travis Homer to a 1-year deal, and the Falcons signed Brian Robinson Jr. We had talked about this last week, and now Brian and Bijan are going to be sharing a backfield, and I think it's safe to say that he'll take the Tyler Algier role and run with it. No pun intended.
I just rolled my eyes. Roll my eyes at you, Jeff. AJ Dillon, I think, is more of a camp body that's going to take the majority of the beating of just handing off the ball and just taking reps so the other guys can rest. I highly doubt he makes the final roster. Damian Pierce, I think, is more of a return guy for the Eagles. They already have guys on their roster that I like more than him in Bigsby and Shipley behind Barkley. Wow, I just realized it's Barkley, Shipley, Bigsby. It's all ease. It's all wise at the end, except for Pierce. And Pierce is probably also a depth camp piece to take a lot of the preseason reps, just like AJ Dillon as well. Travis Homer, another special teams guy for the Steelers. So really, no one here moves the needle. I think marginally, Damian Pierce offers the most, but it's the most crowded room as well. Maybe one of the other guys is on the move, and he'll be the number 3 for this team.
So you're going to single out Damian Pierce and not talk about Brian Robinson Jr. signing with the Falcons?
I forgot about him. Sorry, I neglected that last one.
It's like
He has the
camouflage.
best out of all of them. He has the best chance to actually get meaningful touches, and it's going to be really funny when they have a 2 running back snap where there's 2 B Robinsons. You don't know which one's which. So you
Yeah,
fantasy football players, you better be very careful which Falcons B Robinson you put on the draft board round 1.
exactly, or the auction
Yeah.
slot. You better be careful who you're betting on. So it's funny that you say that, and I currently have Brian Robinson Jr. as running back 45 on the Falcons. And before you think that's crazy, Algier finished 38 last year. He is definitely someone that should be rostered, but probably not started.
Yeah, I think even if they still don't trust Brian Robinson to have the full workload anyway. So he's kind of limited with his upside. So
Yeah.
I'm not even sure if I would even handcuff him. I like handcuffs in deep dynasty leagues only, and I'm not sure that I would employ that strategy with Brian Robinson.
Absolutely. Let's hop over to the wide receivers. And we had talked about the Colts potentially adding a wide receiver, and they added a wide receiver, Nick Westbrook-Ikine. The Lions added Greg Dortch to kind of take some snaps away from Isaac Tesla. And that will be very interesting to see who gets the third receiver slot in Detroit. And the Browns had wide receiver Tylan Wallace. They stole him from division rival the Ravens. And the Eagles signed wide receiver Elijah Moore to a 1-year deal. So all moves that are more depth pieces, and I think Westbrook-Ikine and Dortch have the best chance to be fantasy relevant this year.
Dortch is going to step in the Khalif Raymond role, and I don't know how much that means because Khalif was more of a foil to other guys getting the ball than anything. So I wouldn't really trust Dortch to actually provide meaningful help to your fantasy rosters. Nick Westbrook-Ikine kind of seems like what I would call a flea market version of Michael Pittman. He's had success before, having a ridiculous amount of touchdown red zone success, but he hasn't proven to be anything more than fluky success in his time with the Titans. He didn't really do anything in Miami. Outside of that, Elijah Moore is the one that signed with Philly, right?
Yep, that's your
He's
boy.
He's still only 25, which is insane. I feel like he's been in the league for 10 years. He is apparently his best friends with AJ Brown, and AJ Brown credits him to getting him out of a dark place with dark thoughts. And I think this signals AJ Brown's not going anywhere for the Eagles, that he's staying. They're going an unconventional route to keep him happy. And I know that's disappointing for Patriots fans out there or anyone trying to acquire A.J. Brown, but I never thought it was feasible that they would trade him. They asked for too much. He's an older player with a relatively large contract for what he's produced. Yes, he's been unhappy. That's mostly due to offensive coordinating the last couple of years more than anything. He's here to stay for another year.
Yeah, and this week is Elijah Moore's 26th birthday. So happy birthday to Elijah Moore, and you're awarded with a contract. But I feel like Elijah Moore is my KJ Hamler. I was always big on him. They're both second-round picks, and they never lived up to their hype. KJ Hamler is only 26 years old still, too, so it feels like I've been talking about him forever as well.
Oh, you saying you were big on KJ Hamler and I was big on Elijah Moore?
Yeah, it just feels like the second rounders just never lived up to their hype, and I don't know if you or anyone watched Hard Knocks, but Hard Knocks last year, KJ Hamler was the star of the show. So
I think I've
and
only
one
really
time.
seen one player featured on Hard Knocks that ended up being a good player afterwards. Like one roster borderline guy that ended up being a really good starter somewhere else, and that was one of the defensive backs for the Texans back in the Bill O'Brien era. I think he was an undrafted guy and had a lot of spunk, and he ended up getting a starting job somewhere else after that. I can't remember his name for the life of me.
All right. Are you ready to hop on to some different transactions?
Sure.
All right. So, interestingly enough, I know we talk about Jake Bobo every once in a while, but the Jaguars did sign Seahawks restricted free agent Jake Bobo to a 2-year offer sheet, but the Seahawks did choose to match it, so now he's got a 2-year deal in Seattle. And obviously, before we end our signings here, we have the tight end position, and the Cardinals did sign tight end Tegan Quitrano from the Texans. I don't know if I said his last name correct, but
Toriano.
Quitoriano. Got it.
He's terrible. I hated it when they drafted him. He is slow as molasses, can't catch, can't block. Not really sure why they got him. He's supposed to be a blocker, but doesn't really contribute much. And I think he had health issues too.
That's totally fair. We also had a trade this week, and the Panthers trade backup quarterback Andy Dalton to the Eagles for a 7th-round pick. This is interesting considering they do have Tanner McKee, so I don't know if you think Tanner McKee might be on the move or if the Eagles will keep 3 quarterbacks.
Just like A.J. Brown, they're asking too much for Tanner McKee. So they're asking a 2nd-round pick for Tanner McKee. So I don't anticipate him going anywhere. There's a lot of quarterbacks that may be available, and it all depends on how the draft shakes out, or perhaps quarterback injuries in the offseason and regular season.
Yeah,
I
it
like
just
Tanner
feels.
McKee. I liked Kyle McCord too. I don't know why they I think moved on from him too, but
Yeah, I'm really not sure what happened to him, but yeah, we'll have to keep an eye out for Kyle McCord. But no duh moment of the week. The Seahawks did exercise the 5th-year option for wide receiver Jackson Smith and Jigba.
he's on Green Bay, Kyle McCord, I think.
I heard they were looking at Kirk Cousins as their backup, so that'll be interesting there. But back to JSN, they did exercise the 5th-year option, but also in the same week, they signed him to the biggest wide receiver deal in NFL history, and he signed a 4-year extension. So with his 4th year on the rookie deal, his 5th-year rookie option, that means he's under contract with the Seahawks until 2031. What are your thoughts with JSN getting paid? And this deal probably will look really good in a few years.
I think it was completely unnecessary to do right now. I think, though, they lost so many of their free agents, and they're like, we have to spend the money. We might as well do it now. So I feel like that's exactly how that went down. He made a public point of saying he does think he deserves to be paid the highest out of the wide receivers, but he wasn't going to push it, and he was pretty chill about it. So I'm not sure why they did it now. They didn't wait till next year to extend him, but the earlier you do it, the more you save yourself because they only seem to go up. And I think it has perhaps affected everyone else. Like the Rams are now going to have to pay Puka Nacua more than Njigba, and everyone else is going to have to pay their wide receivers more. And I think this is going to lead to more wide receivers, just like how the quarterback position teams tend to overdraft to get that extra year under salary. I think that fifth year option, I should say. I think teams are going to do that to wide receivers and push them up the board too to save $30 million.
Yeah, and I do think what you had mentioned is the real reason why they did all this was to make sure that they were getting the best possible price for their guy. And when Chase gets paid again, and it's gonna look like a much better deal. Like he's gonna be at a discount eventually.
So with this resigning and with the Bobo resigning, does that make Cooper Kupp expendable? Will they move on from him and save money that way and maybe draft someone in the draft that's cheaper?
Could
Actually,
could
they already have Shaheed. They have Shaheed and Horton, so they don't need Cooper Kupp at all.
No, but I mean, I don't think they win the Super Bowl without Cooper Kupp.
I mean, that's almost like saying the Texans wouldn't have gotten a playoff win without Christian Kirk. He didn't do anything for the regular season and blew up in one postseason game.
That's fair. I mean, he does show up, and this is the second Super Bowl he showed up in like this stuff. Was a leading receiver.
I kind of thought he would do more with his regular season, but
I mean, he's no Elijah. That's a more joke. I'm good with
it's no
good
Sky either.
I'm very punny.
Sure, we'll
Well,
go with that.
That's the end of our transactions for the week. But we do have plenty of rookie quarterbacks to look at here. Alex, are you ready to reveal your 2026 top 8 rookie quarterbacks?
Sure. Do you want me to go first to eighth or eighth to first?
8 to first. Let's hear from 8 to 1 because I guarantee there's going to be some surprises along the way.
Yeah, mine is, it has a lot of the same names out there, I'm sure, as most. It's just as we get to the top, it's a little bit different in the upper sections. But at number 8, I have Taylon Green out of Arkansas. Jeff's clapping because he got that one in the correct order. 6'6". He's very reminiscent of Anthony Richardson, and that is my comp. He's high raw in power at arm talent. He's raw at processing and football IQ. He relies heavily on athleticism. His mobility is elite. He could easily be converted to a running back or tight end and be lethal. Unlike Anthony Richardson, I think he might be willing to make that transition if quarterback doesn't work out for him. Teams are going to like him. He's not going to be drafted in the first round. He's going to be drafted late. He does have that interesting Richardson, Milton athleticism upside. All right, he's in this for that reason, and just in case if he ever does get a chance to start, he would be an elite option for that week in fantasy football. I just don't know if I would spend a rookie pick on him. Usually you have first 3 or 4 rounds in the rookie draft, and I'm not sure I would take him in the first 3 rounds.
I would do a 4th rounder on him if you do 4th rounders.
Yeah.
It'd be worth a
Anthony Richardson and Milton and Trey Lance, like I don't think I would take a chance on a quarterback like this.
I mean, those are all very fair points, but we all know that Joe Milton was a 6th round pick, and that's very low capital, so that's not like a big deal. But if he goes in the 6th round, that's different than Richardson and Lance being top 5 picks. Like that is way less capital and way less investment, and you can have some time to breathe and potentially be a NFL starter.
I'm not sure if he's ever going to be a starter in the league, to be honest with you. But
That's
man,
fair.
if he does start, sky's the limit for fantasy anyway.
You keep bringing up Sky. We are done with our more talk for the day. But I will say, what if Green Bay drafts him to back up Jordan Love for the next several years? I mean, Look at what Malik Willis did there, and look what Malik Willis developed into there.
There is an outside chance if he goes to a spot that's good at developing quarterbacks, he can potentially be something. It will take time. He needs to go to a place where he can still get a lot of reps, maybe somewhere that has extra personnel on offense to dedicate time to him. But yes, there is an outside chance he can develop into something in the right situation.
Absolutely.
Number 7 is a similar guy, and that's Cole Payton out of North Dakota State. I don't know what it is about people trying to make him more of a thing than what he was. He has very little production in college throwing the ball. A lot of his production is on the ground, high levels, rushing on the ground. It reminds me a lot of Josh Allen was left-handed and couldn't throw very well. That would be Cole Payton. Also, kind of reminds me of Taysom Hill. It's a little, too on the nose to be a little bit, but it's pretty accurate. He hasn't played against a good level of competition. He's very unrefined. To me, he's got bad mechanics, bad footwork. Everything is major work, but he seems more like a diamond in the rough, a little bit more than Taylon Green, but they're awfully similar. So I'm not really going to edge him out that much. Yeah, there's not really much more I can say than that. Both these guys are dual weapons and very mobile.
Absolutely. No, I completely agree. And it's all about landing spot. I'm surprised you didn't have the little quarterback on this list now, too, because.
Oh, Pavia? No. There's
Yeah.
no chance. No chance I put little Diego on this list.
He's an interesting one. I don't know if he even gets drafted.
He won't. He's got character concerns, height concerns, ability concerns, tape concerns, athleticism concerns.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I'm right there with you. He did not look good in the Senior Bowl. And yeah, I'm right there with you. All right. Who is your number 6?
my number 6 is Drew Aller out of Penn State. I like to think of him as a bigger, more athletic Aiden O'Connell. Another guy you can compare him to is a Carson Wentz, but a light version of him. Problem with him is he has all the attributes, but he hasn't put it all together. He hasn't played enough actual snaps to refine what he is as a quarterback. He had injury issues most of last year, so we didn't get to see him build on his 2024 campaign. And that's going to be a common theme with several of these quarterbacks as we go through, is either lack of playing time or injury concerns that derailed their college career. And Aller was someone who potentially could have been a very high draft pick in this draft class. Again, this is going to be a very similar theme to some of these other guys. But because of his injury and because this season was derailed, we won't see it that way. But I have not seen the consistency from him. I have seen he's got probably the best or one of the best arm strength in this class. He can drive the ball anywhere. Can't really read the defense yet, and he can be a little late and hesitant in his throws. But he looks like he could be a guy. I just don't think that he is.
Absolutely. Again, I don't see a ton of starting opening jobs. So if you go and sit and have the right coach and the right mentor, a guy like Drew Eller could really go quite far.
I'm thinking of where he could go to develop.
Minnesota by JJ McCarthy.
I would think maybe Pittsburgh. Maybe he could be someone the Rams are interested in to try to find a cheap heir behind Stafford. Just because I feel like his playing style could be similar to Stafford. At least some of his attributes are. I mean, those are really the top two that come to mind for me.
I mean, the Rams are a huge place that with 1 or 2 years that it would work. So just some interesting thoughts.
But yeah, I think he's going to be a mid-late draft pick, and I think the others are probably going to be mid-late. With my number 7, Cole Payton, there's a chance that a couple teams might like him a lot more than I do and take him earlier. than I feel comfortable with, and wouldn't be surprised. I just don't think it'll work out if a team drafts him day 2 or something crazy.
Yeah, Atlanta's going to take Cole Payton, right, to get all the left-handed
Yeah.
quarterbacks in the league.
Yeah, I think there's still another one in the pros, I think, too, that they could get if I could just remember his name. Man, having 3 kids and sleep deprivation really makes it hard to remember things.
Absolutely. So it's Tua, Gabriel, and Penix.
Gabriel.
Yep.
Gabriel.
I think he's about out of the league. Like, I don't know what to do with him on my spreadsheets and stuff, but obviously we'll see what happens.
Well, that would be his former coach too. So ship him right to Stefanski.
Yep. I don't see him lasting in the league, but
He was never draftable in the first place.
nope.
Like it was I don't know who wanted that, but he's 5'9". Get out of here.
Right. Let's go to number 5. Sorry, I skipped one.
This is going to surprise people considering the talk going on in the national media about this, but I have Ty Simpson out of Alabama, number 5. I liked him a lot more earlier in the season. His games were better. He had some injury concerns. His play dropped off dramatically as the season progressed. Maybe it was the injuries, maybe it was teams figuring him out on film, maybe a combination of the two. But he's only played one season as a starter. There's too much statistical data to show that quarterbacks that only have one season as a starter in college and go to the pros typically don't work out. It's a very high percentage that don't work out. Yes, do I think that he's had plays that look like an NFL caliber quarterback? Yes. He has a great arm. It's not as strong as others, but it's plenty strong. And he did have several excellent throws that are highlight worthy. I just think overall he's not consistent. I think he's coming out too early, forcefully coming out this year because he wouldn't be a first round pick next year, even if he probably had a good season. He needs to go and sit wherever he is taken. He was someone I would have projected to the Rams at 29 before they traded that pick away for a corner. And now I think some team is going to trade into the bottom of the first round to take him. I would be completely shocked if someone took him in like the middle of the first round. And I think it would be a disaster for whatever team took him in the top 5 if that's something that happened. So
Let's root for interesting.
my range for him, if he works out, he's kind of in the Brock Purdy range. If he doesn't work out, it's the Zach Wilson range. And if he's taken too high, he's a colossal bust. If he's taken in the low first, it's more manageable. It's not as calamitous, but I'm not sold on him. I think he does have potential, but I think he's very risky.
Absolutely. No, I just know that there's been a lot of talk that he's the most talented quarterback in this draft this past week. So interesting for you to have him at number 5. And I don't like the Zach Wilson of it all. And Brock Purdy going in the first round, I don't really like that either. So, I mean,
Well, you're not a Brock Purdy fan, and you, on a yearly basis, talk about how his backups aren't that much of a drop off from him. So I figured you would appreciate that comp.
absolutely. Who do you have at number 4?
My number 4 is Carson Beck out of Miami, formerly out of Ohio State before that. He made it all the way to the college football championship, and I thought he's played well in spots on a very talented Miami team. Actually, hold on, Carson Beck. I think he was Georgia before that, not Ohio State. I don't know why I get those confused sometimes. But I think he's a solid quarterback. He's a little bit younger than I thought he was because I feel like he's been in college forever, but he's only 23. And I think that he's highly efficient in a pro style offense, which is great. He usually has low mistakes. He is good, not great arm talent. I don't really think he's going to be anything more than a game manager type. My comps for him are Matt Schaub and Derek Carr. I kind of view him as a high floor backup, a low end starter if forced into it. I don't really trust him to be a starter, but he is much safer than the other guys. And based on the quarterback openings, I think more teams are looking at cheap, high quality backups than potential starters out of this class. And I think he fits that mold. And I think he's someone that if your starter got hurt and you had to plug him in, he wouldn't kill your offense.
No, I totally agree with that as well. But I think you're a little more down on this class than I am. I do see a potential starter in Aller, and a few others here. So I would love to see Taylor Green do become a starter as well. But I'm just rooting for this class. There's some good stories.
You are a sucker for gunslingers, and I think this class has a lot of gunslingers.
I know what I'll be doing in Madden.
All right. My number 3 is Cade Klubnik out of Clemson. He's a little bit shorter than most of these guys at 6'2", but I think he's flashed a lot of high-level playmaking, and you wouldn't know it because he plays in the ACC and he had a down year in 2025. But he had an exceptional 2024. He doesn't have the biggest arm. It's a little bit above average, but he can make throws on the move. His processing is getting better. I think he escapes the pocket a little bit too quickly, but he does flash some mobility and dual threat ability as well. I think he's someone who could be a decent starter, maybe as high up to mid-tier if he improves on the mental game and a little bit of his mechanics. I have a I don't have a perfect comparison for him. Like, I kind of view him anywhere between like a Spencer Rattler and a Bo Nix. Like, he's not as mobile as Bo Nix is. He's more mobile than Spencer Rattler. He's kind of in that move around and sling it type mentality, and he's somewhere between being forced into a system and forced into a gunslinger. He's kind of right smack in the middle. So it's really weird to pin him down, but I think he does have the potential to be a starter. And if not, then I think he'll be a good backup.
Yeah, he's one of my favorites of this class as well. So if you go Klubnik and Aller, and I think there'll be one more coming very shortly, but those are my 3 quarterbacks that I'm looking to root for, and obviously Taylor Green's going to be a huge project. Wouldn't mind him in Carolina behind Bryce Young and behind Kenny Pickett, but just, he needs some time to develop. But Klubnik was one of my favorites at the Combine, and I look forward to his landing spot because there are teams that could use a quarterback. Think like Arizona. I think Atlanta could use another bite at the quarterback apple. Vegas is probably going to walk away with a quarterback that we'll get to. Minnesota could use a quarterback because Kyler Murray's only a 1-year deal. Jets have Geno Smith, enough said there, and Pittsburgh will assume Aaron Rodgers is back, but they only have Will Howard other than Aaron Rodgers. So a lot of spots here for quarterbacks if they hit the right place with the right coach.
Yeah, I do think he could be in the Shanahan tree. Like, I could absolutely see him in Minnesota.
I would rather him over JJ
Yeah.
at this point.
I still think he would probably start off as the third quarterback and be more of a redshirt guy this year and go with the vets and try to win now. But I mean, year 2, I would go with him and not give Kyler Murray a second contract. You go and get your compensation picks and letting Kyler go sign a big contract somewhere else year 2, and then keep Carson Wentz as your veteran backup. Sounds like a plan to me.
No, I mean absolutely. And Wentz is getting a little bit older, but I don't know how Kyler Murray fits in long term.
All right, my number 2 is not someone I anticipated putting at number 2, like a couple months ago, but Garrett Nussmeier out of LSU. I initially did not like him that much until I realized that he had core and arm muscle injuries that affected his throwing. He's a coach's son, which this is always something that I really like about quarterback prospects is when they have that family legacy and they have an actual offensive-minded guy teaching them from their daddy. But he's similar size 6'2", Klubnik, 6'2", 200-something pounds. He's been a high-volume pass attack guy. He had the ability to throw to good wide receivers at LSU, which you can take it as a slight, but he knows how to pass to an NFL caliber wide receiver, which sometimes means taking the risk of throwing to them and let them get themselves open and let them catch it and throw tighter windows. That's more important than people realize because sometimes quarterbacks try to do too much and try to wait for them to get open rather than let them make a play. I think that he has more mobility than you would think, but he's a little bit limited there than the ideal. He is a true gunslinger, likes to sling the ball downfield. He can create explosive plays when others won't even attempt, like I kind of discussed. He has the ability to both carry an offense or derail drives. I mean, that kind of reminds me a little bit of the best and worst of a Josh Allen type goes into the gunslinger. He's got a fast trigger, but his decision making could use some improvement. And he is one of the top tier arm strengths in this class. More concerns, like I said, with derailing drives, it's the turnover volatility and discipline in situational football, which you would think would be a little bit more cleaned up with his dad being a offensive coordinator in the league. I kind of compare him somewhere between Baker Mayfield and a Tony Romo, which both of them were quality starters. I mean, Baker Mayfield still is a quality starter when healthy. So I would be totally comfortable with him being a potential starter for my team. Sit out a few weeks or sit behind a veteran this year. But I think he's someone that I'd be very interested in looking as a long-term solution.
Yeah. Do you believe his dad will take him in the draft?
No, because I think he's with the Saints and they have 3 quarterbacks now.
All right. I guess you won't have a reuniting of father and son.
Personally, I've been thinking about it, and I kind of want the Texans to draft him and be insurance against CJ Stroud.
Okay.
And
You
I
think they'll
think he
do
would
it?
no, but they do like LSU and SEC schools, and there's no way they're super comfortable with CJ Stroud with how he played. And Nussmeier does seem more the type of quarterback that Nick Caley wants to run the Patriot system. So it's something I could see.
All right. So you got Stower and Nussmeier going to the Texans.
An ADT and a linebacker. First 4 picks right there.
Anyone else?
Keontae Scott would be nice, even though Texans don't really need a nickel. I don't know if well, you know who that is, but he's Miami's nickel cornerback, and as a nickel, he ran a 4.3. So
I mean,
he's
I did watch
phenomenal.
the
I think he can
national
play.
championship.
I mean, he can play inside or outside. I think he's severely underrated, and if he wasn't being labeled a nickel, I think he would be a first-round pick.
That's fair.
But yes, that and Mike Washington. But we'll talk about the running backs later.
Oh my gosh. Who don't you want them to take at this point?
Wow. There's definitely guys. There's definitely guys.
And who is the all important number one?
That's no surprise to anyone that follows the draft process at all or listens to football news. It's Fernando Mendoza out of Indiana. Yeah, out of nowhere, unsung hero in college football who led a Midwest team to their first title basically ever. For whatever reason, he fit into this different Mike Shanahan than the traditional one's offense and Kirk Signetti. Fit in straight with his team, really cerebral. I think he's got a football family background as well. Weird situation where his brother is on his team with him. Doesn't always happen. He has a high completion percentage with a strong touchdown to interception ratio. He led one of the most efficient offenses in college football. Balanced pro-style passing structure, which bodes well for the NFL. Excelled in late down and red zone efficiency. He has good enough velocity to his balls. He's got consistent timing and throws. He's not a wow guy, but he's highly functional and repeatable with his throws. He is probably the highest football IQ of the prospects. the best processing, and he does sophisticated things like manipulating safeties with his eyes. He's calm and composed under pressure for the most part. I do have issues with him being kind of heavy-footed in the pocket, being a little clunky. He showed more mobility than I thought he had in that touchdown run in the national championship, because otherwise I haven't really seen that out of him. But that also showed a little bit of grit and heart and determination, and I appreciate that. He does get a little jittery and can get caught by pressure, and that's something that Miami should have been able to blitz him and freak him out more than what they did, and I don't feel like they did an okay job, and they were somewhat effective, but I feel like they could have done more to disrupt him. And that's some of the concerns that I have with him. And I also think he could potentially be limited to certain systems. And I think the Shanahan tree, Kubiak tree, McVay tree, those types of systems are the best suited for him. They're very quarterback friendly, but nearly specifically designed for him. My player comp for him would be Kirk Cousins and Matt Ryan, who I think had some exceptional, really good years, especially under the Shanahan Kubiak tree. Their best years were in those systems. So in those systems, he could be elite. Outside of those systems, he could be very disappointing.
Man, I do not like him at all. Not as a person, but what I saw in the national championship game was a guy that consistently underthrew balls, and he's going to always be remembered for that one run that you clearly remember him for at this point. But he is not going to throw balls in the places for receivers that they don't have to make adjustments for.
I will say this, Jeff. I think you should consider the fact that Miami's defense was basically an NFL caliber defense. As quality as Indiana was this year, most of it has to do with the fact that they have a high level of seniors and not necessarily great players. And they have good coaching. These are the two best teams in college football. They both deserve to be there, but I don't think you're giving Miami's defense enough credit. I will also say, on the other hand, I don't think Fernando Mendoza is the same caliber quarterback that would traditionally be the number one overall pick. I think in the other drafts, he would be third, fourth quarterback available and not the first overall. Like, for instance, the Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Drake May, Penix, Bo Nix, JJ. I would have put him as the fifth quarterback in that class. So, and that was a historic good quarterback class with
How would have you ranked them?
with the Cam Ward draft, Cam Ward and Dart. I would have probably maybe put him second, maybe third in that class. So yes, he's the best quarterback prospect overall, like safety wise, starting to like highest floor. He doesn't have the highest ceiling, he has the highest floor, and that's why he's number one. Is less likely to completely fall apart. And I think the Raiders are going to end up being a better landing spot, though, for a first overall pick in a while, other than the Bears for Caleb Williams.
We'll see. You know, I'm a big Caleb Williams guy.
Are you actually a big Caleb Williams guy?
I am. He's growing on me more and more and more and more, and not like DJ or Elijah. Or
He have
but
a worse passer rating last year than Anthony Richardson.
okay, but he also made the playoffs and got a playoff win, I
Did he
believe.
make the playoffs?
Yeah.
The Bears made the playoffs. They had a lot of fourth quarter comebacks because of mistakes that Caleb Williams himself made and the team recovered from. Their defense gave up a lot of big plays and also had a weirdly high turnover rate as well, which shouldn't be possible, but happened. And the other three teams in their division all regressed tremendously in the same year. So a lot of things went right. Now that the Bears won the division, I expect them to plummet back to earth, and I don't think they're going to make the playoffs this year. So
That's a big, bold take. But I do have Caleb Williams being a top 10 fantasy quarterback.
And yet you wouldn't trade Brock Purdy for him last year.
I don't remember that being an option because I would do that right now.
I tried to trade Caleb Williams to you for Brock Purdy, and you said no. After pooping on Brock Purdy all offseason before last year, you wouldn't trade him away.
Purdy is 4 spots ahead of Caleb Williams for me in fantasy this year.
Wow, Jeff. I think you're becoming a Brock Purdy fan more than you are Caleb Williams.
I mean, it's hard not to have him up there when he now has Mike Evans and George Kittle, presumably at 100%.
Ricky Pearsall. If Jennings doesn't sign somewhere, Jennings may be finding his way back. They may draft a wide receiver at the end of the first round, maybe. I mean,
they signed Christian Kirk and they signed Demarcus Robinson last year.
You're totally right.
Yep. I don't see there being targets for Jennings anymore. I don't see there being a home.
Robinson's a nothing burger for me. Absolute nothing burger.
They signed him to a 3-year deal.
That doesn't mean anything to me. I don't think he's good, so I don't know why they would sign him to that, and I don't think he's going to have any production worthwhile. But as far as I can tell, Jennings and the 49ers relationship is not in a good place. So even if he comes crawling back because nobody will pay him $20 million per year, that may not happen. I can still see the 49ers drafting. There's a particular receiver I think would be perfect for them, but we'll talk about that in the receiver episode.
One thing is for sure, once I get my projections all set and situated, we're going to have the NFL draft, and it's going to throw wrenches in all of the neatness that I have right now.
You're the one who likes to stay up to date on that, and rather than waiting for all of it to happen.
Hey, we're called Never Too Early. We're not called Wait Till Everything's Done fantasy podcast. I like your top 8 quarterbacks, and we should be back next week with our, is it 10 rookie tight ends? Somewhere around there.
I think it's 10. I can trim it to 8, but I'll talk about 10.
No, there might be one tight end that you don't even talk about. That's one of my favorites in the class that I kind of fell for at the combine. Well, I won't spoil it, but next week I won't be afraid to tell you who it was.
You're gonna tell me your tight end crush?
Yeah,
That's not Valentine's Day, but I mean, if you want to.
Wearing pink.
Man, that's what we should do next year's football crushes.
Yeah, got a few of those. Sammy Darnold, come on down. Finally paid off this year, though.
I know. Wow. All right. Well, that does it for another episode of the Never Too Early Fantasy Football Podcast. Thank you all for downloading and listening to this episode, and please don't forget to like and subscribe. Please leave us a comment and share the show. Every little bit helps.
You can find us on all podcasting apps by searching N2E Fantasy, and with our handle N2E Fantasy on all social media platforms. Please join our community and give us a follow. Until next time, take care of yourselves, and remember, it's truly never too early for fantasy football. Thank you again.
Bye, everybody.